Now, in South Carolina, we've got defendant Zachary Hughes in the Rose Petal murder trial back on the stand today to face cross-examination. And that, of course, is our top story for you. Brand new overnight. We want to show you our first look at the victim's ex, John Mello. He went before a judge, this after he was arrested on Wednesday. So Zachary Hughes, his good buddy, maybe not anymore after this, testified that Mello, who's the father of Christina Parcell's child, offered him money twice to murder Christina, which Hughes said that he rejected.
What John asked you to do?
Yes. Given his concerns, John asked me that if I believed his daughter was in grave danger, would I be willing to kill Christina Parcell for $5,000?
What did you say when he asked you that?
I was shocked and insulted by the request, and I gave him an immediate and unequivocal no.
Then a short time later, John Mello was arrested. This was big breaking news on Wednesday. He's facing charges of accessory before the fact to a felony and solicitation to commit that felony. At a hearing last night, the judge ordered him to be held without bond.
Based on the nature of these charges and the situation involved in these cases, this case, I am going to no bond you, and I'm going to send you to the circuit court for a bond hearing. Your next court date will be sometime in the next 30 days. I can't tell you if it'll be 3 days from now or 30 days from now, because that'll have to be scheduled by the solicitor's office. But at that point in time, it'll be up to them to decide as to whether to grant you a bond or to keep you in jail until your court date. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so, thank you.
So I guess that testimony from Mr. Hughes tipped to the scales, as I like to say, with Mr. Mello. So we'll continue following his case. But back to Mr. Hughes. We've got to back the truck up a bit, because what we saw yesterday was quite frankly stunning. This is a guy who's admitting to a premeditated murder and just wanting the jury to walk him because he's saying he did it for the right reasons. Let's bring in our guests now. Attorneys Michael J. Brown and John Phillips on the show this morning. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of this. John Phillips, your thoughts, please.
Goodness, in just preparing for this morning, I was like, this can't be right. And then I'd watch some video. I was like, this is wild, even for court TV, even for South Carolina. No offense, South Carolina, but you have it all. You've got murder for hire. You've got rose petals, you've got musicians, but when you boil it down, the kind of hinge factor and cringe factor are the allegations of sexual abuse, and that's going to justify the murder for hire, and yet it's not supposed to come in, but it keeps coming in, and we're headed towards mistrial. But that's kind of what's on the docket for today.
You're exactly right, John. I've got a clip of that. Let's take a look together.
I felt the most enormous wave of relief wash over me, because I knew from that moment on would be safe. Would be safe from the sexual abuse that her mother was perpetrating on her. And there is proof to that the state is hiding from you.
Your Honor, instruct him to be quiet. Okay, you need to stop talking.
So instead of going the route of, call the police, no, this guy just says he wants to do the murder and be the hero. Michael J. Brown, I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Good morning, Julie. Good morning, John. The concern I have is the judge's ruling. You don't have to like the defense. You don't have to agree with the defense, but the defendant has an absolute right to assert this defense. And the law says, hey, you can take somebody's life if you think somebody else's life is in imminent danger or harm. So now we're left with a really incomplete narrative. The defendant's not allowed to expand on what he had in his mind and why he did what he did based on the judge's ruling. And along those lines, the prosecutor, they made this motion in limine. They think they're being cute, and they think they're succeeding by making that motion. At the end of the day, quite frankly, I think it's going to come back because you've prevented this defendant from asserting a defense.
I love your analysis, Michael. And I'm in agreement with you because it boils my blood what Christina Parcell is said to have done, what Mr. Post, her fiance, is accused of doing. He's going on trial soon for that. It boils my blood. You are right. The jury should hear this. Okay, so let's say, for the sake of our analysis, the jury does hear it. Let's say things are different. John Phillips, does the defense then still put this guy up? I mean, I know it's his choice ultimately, but our expression in the courthouse, does he still take the stand and posture the way he's posturing here, like he's the big hero?
His testimony is a bit odd to me in just the way he presents it. People say the truth is contemporaneous, and yet you have a lot of time to set that truth. And so what I don't know is, does he believe this? Is it true, or is this his story? And I don't know which one, but I worry about kind of jury nullification, where a jury is going to say, okay, I'm going to ignore that this was a murder for hire and that he took the law into his own hands to murder because he deserved, the mom deserved to be killed. Like, that's not where we need to head in legal jurisprudence, even though we'd all, want everybody who does that to be thrown under the jail.
Right. And thank you so much for that explainer, John. You're spot on. That's exactly what Zachary Hughes wants. He wants this jury to say, yeah, you know what, we're just going to ignore the law because these are bad people based on your testimony, and we're going to believe you and let you walk away and go back to your piano. Michael J. Brown, if you could get your wish, let's say you're repping this guy and the judge says, you know what, we're going to go ahead and allow all this bad information in, then what do you think happens? What becomes the defense strategy?
Well, if he's allowed to expand on this and he's allowed to discuss the fact or the allegations that the mother and the boyfriend are abusing this young girl, that they're using her in sex acts, and they quite frankly think that her life is in danger, well, he would be able to expand on that. And the jury is the fact finder. Let's remember that. Although the judge is the gatekeeper of evidence, the jury is ultimately the fact finder. And they're the ones who will determine if it's a valid claim or not. They're not even allowed to get to that point because of the judge's ruling. And from my standpoint, I think that's troubling.
You guys are the best. I tell you what, this was such an illuminating conversation. You both have me thinking about how imminent that danger was. That's something we can think about as we get into the cross today. Going to be key in what this jury does with this guy. I can't believe what we saw yesterday, but it happened. He's admitting to murder, admitting to premeditated murder, and acting like he's proud of it.